Welcome, everyone, for another episode of the PLA podcast. I have an incredible guest here, an amazing PLA community member that I am truly looking forward to interviewing, an absolute heart, a person that truly embodies leadership, commitment, giving back, and growth more than most that I will ever meet in this lifetime. Veena, welcome to the PLA podcast.
Thank you so much, Dunya. That was a lovely introduction. Looking forward to our podcast today.
Oh, I would love to formally introduce you to our audience so they can get to know you just a little bit more. Then we've had the absolute privilege of getting to know you at PLA. So I wanted to run them by your beautiful story. Meet Veena, a seasoned data strategist with over 18 years of IT experience, with her career that spans multiple industries like healthcare, telecommunications, supply chain, and finance. She currently serves as Assistant Vice President at Moody's, passionate about the transformative power of data. She specializes in building scalable, AI ready data architectures. Beyond her technical leadership, Veena is deeply committed to mentorship, supporting early career professionals as they navigate the world of data and technology. Outside of the work, she loves exploring new cuisines and reading books, and of course, being an incredible mom to her kids. I'm so lovely to have you on here, Veena. What a treat, truly.
Thank you, Dunya. Thank you for that wonderful introduction.
It's such a treat. I would love for us to jump in and just for you to just kind of take us back to the very beginning of your career. Where did it all start?
Well, I really wanted to become an electrical engineer. I wanted to build robos. I was really fascinated when Asimo was built by Honda and they had released that. So I took electrical engineering in my undergrad. But life took a different turn, and I started looking at data where at CVS Health, really, where I saw how data integration, how data plays a role in integration between different entities. So that uh, took that influence a lot of business decisions, and I was able to understand how data strategy really drives all of the decisions. And looking back, it has been an incredible 18 years now, and I love how I've been able to contribute to many companies and able to drive business decisions. So data whispers, it's very hard not to pay attention. So
Absolutely. And I'm sure, as someone who has that frame of mind, everything you come across, you can see through these beautiful data lenses and just evaluate all these things from a different perspective, which has been such a beautiful gift for you over your career.
absolutely, like every time I moved companies, I found that not there's not one solution that solves everything. What you learned in your first company or your second company is not going to help you with the problems of the third and the fourth and so on and so forth. So every workplace gives you an unique experience, and being resilient to all of that change, those challenges, it really helps you think about what best suits, and you're able to course correct and able to mold yourself into the newer picture that it becomes, the newer framework that it becomes. So it is fascinating. It is fascinating.
I love that you bring a concept that's so understandable to most people that have been through these different seasons of their career, knowing that in every new project, all of their experience, they're bringing that with them that allows them to start implementing this at new levels through these different projects. And it reminds people that, oftentimes even in our career, we take these little detours and we're thinking, why am I working for this company? Or why am I working on this project? Or why did I completely pivot and shift roles or fields? And really, it's maybe we don't quite know what's coming, but it is going to serve us in some way. So I love that you brought that shift in perspective and an invitation for that.
Absolutely. I think even otherwise, when we look at life, and if we're going to get the same assignment, there is no room for growth. There's no space for growth, really. There is one thing that comes to my mind, which is a heartbeat, which goes up and down, right? So I think you need to understand the lowest lows to be able to appreciate the highest highs.
Yeah.
So there are going to be failures, and why is that failure, right? It's an opportunity for you to learn how to work on something differently. The first few years of my life, for my career, like I used to take the same approach. Oh, define the problem. Usually it is done in this manner. This is what the experts say. Sometimes, yeah, you can use that, but it only takes you so far. We need to think differently. Like, I think there's a Einstein quote to it also, like, don't expect to a different result when you're trying to do the when you keep trying, keep doing the same thing, right? So it's very essential that you get out of your comfort zone, try something new. Of course, you need to understand where to cross the boundaries and where to have that restraint. That situational awareness, yeah, it's critical at many points in your life. So gauge, and then just face your challenges as it comes. There's a challenge in your life for a reason, because you're going to learn from it, and that also you're going to use that to teach others, and others might also be able to learn from your experience. So embrace hardships, embrace challenges, get out of your comfort zone. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. And I love that right from the beginning of your share, being able to embrace the lows to be able to make the most of the highs, so important. And oftentimes I can see it even in my own career, and I can see it in so many around us. That this piece of, we really want to avoid the lows. We're constantly achieving for more, reaching for more, and hoping, to never feel low again. The human body, the human mind, the human experience, we tend to avoid discomfort and pain at all costs. Little do we know, though, is it's through that pain and those difficulties and the most challenging parts of our career, really, or our life, actually, that will actually make us be able to truly appreciate and make the most of those highs and those big wins and achievements. And so I really enjoy that shift and change of reference again.
Oh, 100% agree. Yeah. Yeah. You really need to. Uh, it's not easy, right? In your early career, you'll be like, let's avoid everything that is going to take you out of the comfort zone, because you don't want to be wrong. That's the biggest fear. Everyone goes through it. Oh, you should not be wrong, because people are going to take notice and you're going to fall flat on your face. But I'm not asking people to like go be adventurous and do everything. What I'm trying to say is, with any task that is given, try to understand end to end about what is the true problem definition here. How are you doing things differently to arrive at the point? Is it the same route that everyone is taking, or do you challenge those normals? Create your new normals, but how do you go about it, right? The secret sauce is in asking the right questions too.
Yeah.
You need to do your homework. You really need to put your head down, do the research, ask those questions, and there is a 50-50 chance that you are going to be wrong, or you might be right. But it also helps the other person in the room who has the same question but did not have the guts to ask the question, right? And you are coming in with the necessary research. I'm hoping that people don't just ask questions and then try and then fail, right? You should not go into a war blindfolded. It
Yeah.
needs to be strategic. It needs to be goal oriented. Like any challenge, yeah, define the challenge, do your homework, and then head on.
There's some interesting pieces that you bring up with this, and I love the power of asking questions. It almost relates to your answer to my previous question, this piece where the power of asking questions will be what leads you to change. And I love that at first it was like, if you keep repeating the same pattern over again, hoping to expecting different results, I think it's like the definition of insanity. And it's like, how can I create a new way of looking at things? And not just for myself. I've seen things done by the organization. I've seen things done by my mentors or from those who have held my position previously. What different route can I take to, in some ways, shift our results, create change, create transformation necessary? And I love that you tied it to the power of asking better questions. And you are right. This is one of the things that is missing in a lot of not just organizations, but opportunities, relationships, professional or personal, is the power of asking better questions. And Veena, it really gets me thinking, when has and this is just more of like going a little deeper in this topic. When have you seen in your own life the power of asking better questions get you different results? And you're thinking, if it wasn't for better questions, I wouldn't have led to XYZ.
So, what makes a better question? It shows when you have done your homework, when you ask better questions. So, what is this? What does this mean, right? And one of my previous company, when we were working at creating this data set and trying to create an application that provides these data points, yeah, I was taking and doing the tasks as suggested by the team, but I went deeper and I looked at this particular entity and looked at the relationship, and I said, hey, we need to think through this one, because they had, the way the design was, it was complicated. It could have been made simpler, but it had become complicated for some reason. Business people and processes could have been better, but we are talking about applications where we didn't have newer technologies, right, at that point in time. So they designed it in the way they had designed. So I tried to take a look at this objectively, not with the bias of, oh, these people got it wrong, so I'm going to prove them wrong. No, that was not the intent. My intent is, how can I understand this subject, this entity, like the relationship between these two entities, really how they fit into the big picture. What does the business process do to this particular data attribute, which changes shapes and positions all the time? Like, what is it, how is it contributing to that whole business process? Why is it critical? What if that data attribute is not there for the reason, maybe something else took away that detail and it was just hiding in there. So we have to understand the why, how, what. You have the 4 Ws and the 1 H in project management, right? But go beyond that to see what was the historical reference to that data point, what truly happened. So when you try to help the project, when you try to come up with a strategy for the project in such a way that it has long term impact, yeah, sure, we can always take shortcuts. There are times when you have to also step back and take a tactical look at it, but sometimes looking at it strategically also helps you play the game on the long run. So that's why, so me, when I asked that question, that led to my future projects. They put me on another, like a data science project, and then I was able to play with actual better algorithms and all of those patterns, and was able to contribute to the time series pattern recognition and all of that. Now, this was purely an outcome of curiosity. So lead with curiosity again. That's when you need to ask the right question, right? So that it's fueled by curiosity, which comes from trying to help the bigger picture, trying to help the organization strategically. It doesn't matter if, okay, you're just working for a year or 6 months or a few months and then you leave, but what is the legacy you did? Did you do the job for just doing it, or did you actually make an impact or imprint before you left? Like, what is one thing you changed before you left the company? And again, why I keep harping on when you left and whatever, my projects or my assignments were pretty short term. Most of my beginning career, like in the early career, if you look at my career graph, it was limited to few years, and then circumstances would change and I left. But these were the key takeaways, because I was tired of
Yeah.
again a new situation, again that fear sets in, and again I need to prove it to my manager. So it, trust me, it gets better when you face new challenges. So I take that as a boon and not necessarily as something. It's not a bane, in other words. Yeah.
It's beautiful, Veena, what you're saying, and I hope this is an invitation for anyone listening to this podcast of, so many times when we go looking for a mistake, or we think at the back of our mind someone's made a mistake, that's what we're going to find. We're going to find all the places the mistakes have been made, and then it's going to be a game of pointing fingers. Instead of opening our mind to an objective perspective and a place of curiosity and saying, wait a minute, what if there's a solution I can come across, or trying to really understand this from everyone's perspective with the intention that they did, the best, their intentions were good. And my intention by looking and being curious is to find a solution for the organization, is to find a solution for this project, is to move forward as effectively as possible. And what I love is you actually tied it to this piece around when we go into a project or organization, if we go in with the intention that I want to have a great impact, no matter how short that time frame is, like you mentioned, those projects at first were very short due to circumstances, times changing, organizations changing, or whatever that might be, we can have an impact, a positive impact, especially if we're going in with that kind of intention.
Yeah, you can blame a lot of things in your life, right? It's easy. The recession came, then COVID came, or then there were so many financial impacts that happened in the US markets and all of that. But yeah, take yourself away from that. You don't want to attach yourself to that. What did you do in order to make that impact? Yeah.
That's amazing, Veena. And this conversation, so I hope people listening are really pulling out the depth of this value, because there's definitely so much to it. Even this piece around like making an excuse, like I'm even taking this and I'm like, wow, this is a moment of reflection and asking myself, where am I making an excuse, and where can I take far more responsibility for my part to play, or what's within my realm of control and influence really in what I'm being presented.
Control the controllables. That's what our coaches say, right?
So good. So Veena, I'd love to ask you, we've gone through so many good insights already, and I would love to know if at the very beginning of your career, someone had given you one piece of advice that you wish you knew with everything that you now know, what is one that you would have liked to hear and understand?
I would say speaking up. Not Do not try to be a nice person. It doesn't have to be that way.
Interesting. And tell us more, Veena, because anybody who knows you knows that like you are from head to toe, like a sweetheart, a team player, committed to the greater good of everyone. So I'm sure that a lot of people are thinking, wait a minute, like I want more, like I want to understand, where is that answer coming from?
I have seen so I thought, okay, being a nice person is going to do you a lot of good. So my one of my first few mentors, when I reached out, and they were like, Veena, you're being too nice, you smile too much, which I still do. That's not going to change or go away. That's part of my personality, which I embrace truly. But having said that, so when does a person become a nice person? Let's first define that, right? First, let's define that. A nice person is a person who seeks others' approval, so becomes a people pleaser, tries to say yes to everything without understanding whether whatever content was discussed, whether it's going to be beneficial for the organization or beneficial for the team or not. Is it serving that solution that you just discussed, right? Is it beneficial for that particular problem, or is it beneficial for the person who just sprouted out that solution? You need
Ooh. So
you
what's interesting is we're actually refining the definition of nice person in this conversation. Like I think one of the way, like from what I'm understanding from what you're sharing is that sense of agreeableness versus the true intention behind, is this actually the best decision for the greater good? And there are times where we have to speak up, where we may be, we don't look so nice in this moment, but really it's because our intention is for the greater good.
100%, Dunya, you got it. Like, so when I say yes, I have to say it with integrity. That's the rule I'm trying to follow. If I have questions about it, depending on the situation, because sometimes people don't like to be asked question in front of other people, that becomes your situational awareness, right?
Yeah.
So when you feel something is wrong about that solution that's happening, now I'm talking generic terms
Yeah.
so that everyone can understand, else I can go into data. But when you talk about a solution and somewhere in your mind, your heart, your intellect tells you, hey, something is off about this solution, right? Pay attention to that thought that is coming. You might not want to react or enact that immediately, like don't take it immediately to the attention. Think through it, think about it for a minute. By speaking out this thought, is it going to have an impact, or do you want to take it offline with the person also? Because at the end of the day, people are people, you want to help them, right?
Mhm.
So you're not going to help by putting them down in front of other people, because people are not great at taking feedback, not all the time. Every individual is different, so you need to understand when you're working with teams. Some people are okay with the open comments and they are welcoming, they really want to improve. So you
Yeah.
need to know what your team comprises of, what are your colleagues thinking at that point. But if it's going to be a fast decision, which many of the times it is, depending on the leadership board that you're working on, you need to speak up. You cannot become this person of agreeability
Yeah.
and just go with the flow. And yeah, I have been both correct. I've also been wrong. But
Mhm.
when I'm wrong, I at least learn something out of the
Yes.
situation. Or if I have contributed, I have made some impact, right? I've created some changes to it, so it's going to be a better solution. So I do that. Like, don't be the most agreeable person, and you're not going to please anyone, because at
Mm.
the end of the day, people want to
Yeah.
really think. It's not about just thinking about themselves. People want to also contribute to the project. So if you think that your idea is bigger than somebody else, that's not what we should be going after.
Mm.
We should be going after how objectively this particular problem that we are solving, how your solution, or whatever the solution that's being discussed, is going to cater to that problem. That's it.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not you, it's not anybody else, right? Being soft is not going to be helpful. Being
Mm.
aggressive about how you're going to solution for it will definitely help with the project
Mm.
implementation.
You know what I like about this conversation is this conversation right now is actually very much geared towards those who oftentimes take a very loving, kind, soft approach and wanting the greater good, and oftentimes forget to be that courageous person to challenge the ideas of what's happening. And so it's interesting because, it's almost like we're talking about all the empaths, all those that are people that are in the corporate world and thinking, what am I doing in here? And it's like challenging that, which is funny because oftentimes in corporate we think, I find it fascinating. This is why I love the PLA podcast, is like every episode's so different. We oftentimes think, got to be more empathetic. You actually have to be a little bit softer. You have to be more, like compassionate. And now we're actually taking the conversation in the other direction of saying, wait a minute, there are times and spaces where compassion actually we will not work in the workplace, will not work in the organization, and it will be the time to challenge that piece of I'm not so agreeable. I'm actually disagreeable in this moment. I am challenging and I'm positioning myself quite differently. Veena, I do want to jump into this beautiful question around data. And I wanted to ask you, how has data shaped your life and career? And how has mentorship changed your view of the world and people? I know it's been an important question I've been wanting to ask you for a little while.
Sure. So in I just wanted to build robots, like I told you. I just wanted to look at wires and make that object move and do incredible things. But when I started working on the projects that I got, I saw that one signature was data, like data defined decision buildings. Like it brought about clarity.
Wow, yeah.
So it is very foundational that you understand data. Now even so there's a funny thing that happens when I step out, because I'm a data person. I look at reservations and something goes wrong, I know immediately, oh, they didn't create this as a primary key or whatever in their data architecture, so they didn't do this design. So it leaves traces. In other words, data whispers. So we need to pay attention to data. It gives you all the clues to making something great. So when I say data has molded my life, it's the obsession that I got with data with my first few wins when I was able to create impact at the organization. That's when I thought, okay, there is more to data. What are the different angles? And it didn't happen overnight, right? My first career was more about the integration testing aspect. In the beginning, so CVS had just acquired Long's drugs, and they were trying to look at how we can do this objectively, the counts and all of that. And then came the Oracle systems that I worked on, how payroll could be impacted with those tiny data points, and how some files had to be delivered on time, and how to build those ETL processes, right? So data is indirectly connected to the business. You
Mm,
can't decouple data away from business, because that is your tool, your foundation for making something better. You can prescribe something, you can look at data and say, oh, this could have gone better. Or you can also make predictions about, oh, easy one example for the audience, weather. Based on how it has gone so far, we can predict what is the weather down so many months, right? So all of that was enabled because data was collected, and scientific algorithms were developed to do so, and we are empowered to make those decisions. So it always uh, fascinates me
mm,
how data can impact lives. I've even written a few articles on LinkedIn about it. When people have the chance, please do go and explore the
absolutely.
series about that, data and daily life. But now, you asked the second question about mentorship, right? So I had very few mentors in the beginning of my career, which is the fuel for me to see and look for, receive chances and opportunities to mentor others. So when I seek opportunities to mentor. And why do I do that? It serves two purposes.
Mm,
One is I'm able to learn from my mentees, because they come up with unique perspectives about how to tackle life, how to tackle data, in everything, right? I'm sure mentors who are listening to this,
yeah.
you don't just stick to just how to work on the data or any of the technical aspect. You do talk through all the other challenges of the participant as well, your mentees. So you are vested in their lives as well. So you are able to understand what is your mentee's perspective on some of the challenges, and you are able to learn from that. It
Yeah.
can be as simple as, oh, I didn't look at installing a particular software in this way, versus, oh, I really did not think about this concept in this way. and more questions which you thought you wouldn't have thought about it. So that is the first aspect. The second aspect is all the mistakes that you made, trying to understand what's happening in your career, how a particular cohort worked, or like a particular team worked better. So the team dynamics, how do you understand team dynamics in your organization, right? All of that I had to really struggle to understand. There's something political about this decision, why I was chosen for a project versus not my colleague, and understanding these simple things. It took a while for me to develop my situational awareness compass. I was
Wow.
the person who wouldn't say no to everything. I would say yes to everything. So
Mm.
understanding when to say no and trying to help your mentee understand how he or she should handle a situation. I really love to give back in that manner. So that's my intent of being a mentor.
Oh, it's beautiful, Veena. And anyone who knows you and has gotten to know you personally and professionally knows that you are such a gift to the community and to the rooms you walk into because of your giving heart. You are so committed to giving back and, to guiding, to mentoring, to providing value, resources. You've provided so much time, energy, and effort to so many, even just simply PLA members. And I can only imagine how many in your professional career over your history, and that you will continue to mentor because it's a big part of your life and love. I did want to ask you, a big question around what originally drew you to PLA?
Again, I didn't have mentors in the beginning of my career, right? And then I saw, like in school, we always have teachers. We didn't figure out the curriculum on our own. I can spend hours on YouTube looking for that kind of content, but I needed structure, and PLA gave that structure. And you have coaches who help you in all aspects of leadership. If so, when I saw to I had a few leadership skills. Everyone has leadership skills because you have to do budget planning as an adult. You need to take care, make sure you do things like time management, because you need to drop off your kids on time, make sure you're back to work on time, and all of that, right? But if you need more structure in your life about how to develop those leadership skills, you need coaches. You 100% need coaches for becoming the better version of yourself, because the knowledge that you have come across, you can develop it on your own pace. But if you want it to move at a faster pace, yeah, PLA is your answers. Yeah,
Oh,
they coach you from technical to communication to even spiritual,
yeah, definitely.
emotional. Yeah,
There's been so
they've
much.
got it all. So
Nina, and I love that you touch on these different aspects, like, technical leadership, communication, even that, like you said, like it almost feels like that spiritual component of who do I need to become to have what I truly want? And those deeper layers that are necessary when they come to an identity shift, that come to transformation. I'm going to put a QR code for anyone who is curious about PLA, has never heard of it. This is where you'll find the information to the next free training. So many of us in our community have attended free training multiple times. And even if you never hear of PLA again, to be totally honest, just attending this free training, you will be blown away by the results you get during the training. It's actually breathtaking. And so many of us have gone multiple times for multiple reasons because there's just so much value provided by the mentors, by all of PLA in the community. So Veena, I really wanted to thank you for your time and ask you one final question. What is one piece of legacy and impact you're still excited to leave behind in this world?
like my grandfather used to always say during our walks, Vini Vidi Vici, which is he came, he saw, he conquered. This was about this war which Alexander won within few hours. So what does it translate to? He came, he saw, he conquered means being really focused and just do it imperfectly. So that's the legacy I want to leave behind. And also, one thing that in this whole rat race, don't forget to smile, you need to have your smile on. Like my father has $1 million smile, is what he's told. So I have inherited that legacy from him. So keep smiling, grin and bear it. Some days it's going to be hard, but keep chugging. You're going to reach to the top of the mountain. You're going to win. Keep winning. Yeah.
I love it, Veena. Thank you so much for your presence, for your time, for everything you've provided to the PLA community, just by being who you are and really embodying the work and leadership and commitment to doing, what's necessary to grow and to transform and to achieve the goals that you're after. Truly. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast and looking forward to having you on again. Thank you. Thank you. And for everyone listening, looking forward to having you all tune in to the next PLA podcast, and we'll catch each other so soon. Have a beautiful day, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Dunya.
Thank you, Veena.